All right, let's dive into Stieg Larsson's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, a classic.
It's got everything a good mystery needs.
Yeah, what do we got?
A journalist in trouble, a family with more secrets than they can handle, and a missing girl. Vanished 40 years ago. It's a lot to unpack.
Sounds like it. You know, I always thought Larsson had a knack for taking a simple premise and twisting it into something much darker.
Right, like how he ties this disappearance to a string of murders.
Yeah.
That's what really gets you hooked.
It definitely keeps you guessing. So where do we start with this one?
Well, should we start with our journalist, Michael Blomkvist?
Ah, yes. Down on his luck.
You could say that. Facing libel charges, possible jail time. Not a great place to be.
No, not at all. And that actually plays a big role in the story. His vulnerability makes him the perfect candidate for this crazy job he gets offered.
You're talking about the offer from Henrik Vangscher, right?
Exactly. He's the head of this powerful family, obsessed with finding out what happened to his great niece, Harriet.
Convinced she was murdered. By one of his own family members, no less.
Exactly. A family full of suspects. It's like something out of a dark Agatha Christie novel.
A family with secrets. An investigator with a point to prove. I'm already hooked. But wait, wasn't there something about Henrik offering Blomkvist something in return for solving the case?
Yes. Henrik has some dirt on a corrupt businessman, and he promises to give it to Blomkvist if he can find out what happened to Harriet.
So it's a deal with the devil, in a way.
You could see it that way. A risky proposition for both of them. So what does Blomkvist find when he starts poking around?
Well, at first the Vanger family is pretty tight-lipped.
I bet.
Not exactly welcoming. Larsson does a great job of creating this atmosphere of suspicion.
Oh, yeah. Like something's lurking beneath the surface.
Right. Even the seemingly insignificant details feel ominous.
Absolutely. Like that whole thing with the pressed flowers.
Oh, you mean the tradition where they give each other these flowers?
Yeah. And Henrik is especially upset about one that's missing. Desert Snow, I think it was called.
Desert Snow, huh? Interesting. And what about those Bible verses Blomkvist finds in Henrik's notes? Did they turn out to be important?
Oh, those are a big part of the puzzle. But we'll get to that later.
All right. Keep me in suspense. Now, we can't talk about the girl with the dragon tattoo without talking about Lisbeth Salander.
Yes. An icon.
She's so much more than just a sidekick. She's this brilliant, troubled hacker. Got a photographic memory, a dark past.
A total enigma. I think Larsson knew he had something special with her character.
For sure. She's the one who brings Blomkvist on board to help with the investigation, right? With her tech skills.
That's right. But she quickly becomes much more than just a researcher.
I bet. I mean, she's got this outsider perspective, this way of seeing things that Blomkvist just doesn't.
Exactly. And their dynamic is just electric. This clash of personalities, but also a strange kind of connection.
A connection forged in the midst of this dark, twisted mystery.
It's what makes their partnership so compelling. They need each other, even if they don't always see eye to eye.
So with Salander's help, do they finally get some answers?
Oh, they do.
Wow.
But the truth is far more disturbing than they could have imagined.
Okay, I gotta know, what do they find?
Buckle up. They discover that Harriet's brother, Martin,
Yeah.
he's a serial killer.
Whoa. Hold on. So all this time, the killer wasn't some distant relative or outsider?
Nope. It was Harriet's own brother.
Wow.
And his crimes are, well, they're pretty gruesome, ritualistic even. And guess what?
What?
Those Bible verses Blomkvist found, they're directly connected to Martin's murders.
Wow, that's chilling. Using scripture to justify such horrific acts.
It's one of the things that makes the story so disturbing. It forces you to confront the dark side of human nature.
You're telling me. And what about Martin himself? Was there anything in his past that could explain this kind of depravity?
Well, as Blomkvist and Salander dig deeper, they find hints of a very troubled childhood, possibly involving an abusive father.
Oh, man. A cycle of violence.
It's definitely a possibility, and it raises some tough questions about how much of our behavior is shaped by our past.
This is getting pretty heavy. It's amazing how Larsson can weave together these big social issues with such a compelling mystery.
He was a master at that. So, you ready to dive even deeper?
Absolutely. Let's see what other dark secrets this family is hiding. We'll be back after a quick break.
It's not just about the mystery, though, is it? Larsson really makes you think about the bigger picture.
What do you mean?
Like how the Vanger family's wealth and power protect them even when they're doing terrible things.
You're talking about how they get away with so much because of their status.
Exactly. It's a commentary on how privilege can shield people from consequences.
It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
And it makes that revelation about Harriet's father, Gottfried, even more disturbing.
Oh, right. The hints that he was abusive.
Yeah, it adds another layer of tragedy to the whole story.
It really does. It makes you understand both Harriet and Martin's actions a little better.
Understand, but not excuse, right?
Of course not. But it helps to see how their past shaped them, how they were both trapped in this cycle of abuse.
It makes you wonder if they ever had a chance.
That's what Larsson is exploring, I think. How much control do we really have over our own destinies?
It's a heavy question. And speaking of heavy, we can't forget about Salander's own traumatic past.
Right. She was failed by the system over and over again.
It's no wonder she doesn't trust authority figures.
I think that's one of the things that connects her and Blomkvist. They both feel like outsiders.
Yeah, they've both been through a lot. And in a way, Salander becomes this symbol of fighting back against those in power.
Absolutely. She's a vigilante, taking justice into her own hands, using her skills to expose the truth.
It's what makes her such a powerful character. So does the truth about Harriet ever come out?
It does. And it's a pretty big twist.
Okay, lay it on me.
Harriet actually orchestrated her own disappearance. She ran away.
Wait, what? She wasn't murdered.
Nope. She escaped with the help of a friend, chose to disappear to get away from her family.
That's incredible and heartbreaking.
Yeah, it makes you think about the lasting impact of trauma, how someone can feel like they have no other choice but to erase their entire life.
That's a powerful statement about the desperate measures people take to survive.
Exactly. And it challenges our idea of a happy ending. What does it even mean to escape your past?
These are some deep questions, man. Larsson really makes you think.
He does. So, where were we? Oh, right. The climax of the story. Blomkvist and Salander confront Martin. Things get pretty intense. Salander's loyalty to Blomkvist is really tested. She has to use all her skills to protect him and bring Martin to justice.
It's a satisfying ending, in a way.
Yeah.
But there's still this sense of sadness, like the damage has already been done.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a neat and tidy resolution. It leaves you with a lot to think about. The scars, the consequences of all the violence and abuse.
And yet there's also this sense of hope.
Right. The fact that Harriet survived, that Martin is finally held accountable, it shows that even in the darkest of times, there's still a chance for justice, for healing.
It's a reminder that we can overcome even the most difficult challenges, and that sometimes the most unlikely partnerships can lead to extraordinary things.
Like Blomkvist and Salander. They may be different, but they share this desire for truth, for justice, and that's what ultimately brings them together and helps them triumph.
It's what makes The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo such a compelling story. It's more than just a thriller. Mm-hmm. It's a story about survival, resilience, and the power of human connection.
Exactly. It stays with you long after you finish reading it. Makes you think about the world in a different way.
So if you haven't read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I highly recommend it.
Oh, absolutely. It's a must-read. Larsson's writing is it's brilliant.
It's dark, it's twisted, but it's also incredibly thought-provoking.
It's a story that will stay with you long after you turn the last page. One thing that always gets me about this book is how Larsson mixes things up.
Mixes things up how?
Genre-wise, It's like a crime thriller, a family drama, and a social commentary all at once.
You're right. It's got you hooked on the mystery, but then it hits you with these deeper issues.
Exactly. Corruption, abuse of power, the treatment of women, it's all there.
And it makes you question those systems that are supposed to protect people.
Like the police in the book. They try, but they can't get past the Vanger family's influence.
That's where Salander comes in, right? She's the one who fights back against those systems.
She's a force to be reckoned with, taking justice into her own hands because the system failed her.
She's such a compelling character, a survivor. And then you have Harriet, who chose to disappear.
Two sides of the same coin, in a way, both dealing with trauma, but in completely different ways.
It shows how complex these issues are. There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. And Larsson doesn't shy away from that complexity. He shows the different paths people take to heal.
So we've talked about a lot of dark stuff, but what's the main message you take away from this book?
For me, it's about resilience, hope. Even in the face of terrible things, the human spirit can endure.
Yeah, it's a reminder that we can overcome anything. That even in darkness, there's a chance for healing.
And justice. Don't forget about justice. That's a big part of the story, too.
Absolutely. Larsson makes us think about those who abuse their power, who silence others.
And he shows us that those people can be held accountable. It might not be easy, but it's possible.
It's a powerful message. So, to wrap things up, if you're looking for a book that's both entertaining and thought-provoking,
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, is it? You won't be disappointed.
it's a must-read for anyone who enjoys a good mystery, complex characters, and a story that stays with you long after you finish it.
And who knows, it might even inspire you to fight for what's right, to speak up against injustice.
So what are you waiting for? Grab a copy, dive in, and join us next time for another deep dive into a fascinating read.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. We'll see you next time.